It is that time of the year again! As 2023 wraps up, let's dive into the progress and developments of the various rail projects throughout Canada. From one coast to the other, there is a lot to cover this year. If you haven't done so already, make sure to visit railfans.ca, where you can see our latest project snapshots, news updates, and our latest content. In Quebec City, utilities relocation and necessary works to stabilize the guideway platform progressed considerably to allow for major works to proceed. In April 2023, Alstom was selected to build, design, and maintain a fleet of 34 Citadis Spirit train sets for the line, to be built in La Pocatière. On November 1, 2023, Quebec's Mayor Bruno Marchand announced the decision to terminate the ongoing procurement process, as the last consortium withdrew from the process due to a lack of the necessary financial backing for a project of this scale. An updated cost estimate of $8.365 billion for the 19.3-kilometer line was also unveiled, the result of inflation and other financial risks regarding the project. As a result, the provincial government gave a mandate to CDPQ Infra to study the best options for Quebec City at the end of November. CDPQ is expected to produce a final recommendation to the government by June 2024. While the Tramway project will be considered by CDPQ, it remains uncertain whether it will, or any other alternatives, be the preferred option. This summer marked the inauguration of the Reseau Express Metropolitain's first branch between Brossard and Gare Centrale, with an average of 30,000 daily passengers. Now that we can ride the REM on the South Shore, focus shifts to completing the Deux Montagnes, Anse-à-Laume, and Airport branches. Guideway installation has made significant progress on the Deux Montagnes and Anse-à-Laume branch, with the overhead catenary now covering most of the alignment. As of late November 2023, CDPQ reported 85% completion on these branches, including the Montreal tunnel and substantial progress on infrastructures and station work. Control systems installation is underway, allowing for the start of testing in spring 2024, with both branches expected to open by the end of the year. Work has also progressed considerably along the airport branch. Marie Curie Station is advancing significantly, with tracks being installed along the alignment and parts of the tunnel under the Montreal Trudeau International Airport. At the airport, digging was completed earlier this year, with work on the station foundations and structure beginning to take shape. Aéroport de Montréal expects to remain on track with their current timeline. The final branch to Montreal Trudeau is expected to open in 2027. Preparation for the 5.8-kilometer Blue Line extension from Saint-Michel to Anjou is underway, evident in the demolition and clearing activities at all 5 stations. The request for proposal to identify a private partner for tunnel construction, TBM procurement, and entrance digging at P9, Viau, and Lacordaire was launched in September 2023. The selected partner will be announced in Q1 of 2024, with tunneling expected to start later that year. Due to the market realities and construction complexities, the extension's timeline has been adjusted to the early 2030. Pending the final agreements and approval from the provincial government. In Ottawa, Stage 2 LRT progress is visible at all work sites. Throughout the year, we got an exclusive opportunity to visit the new stations at Limebank, Lincolnfield, and Jeanne d'Arc. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to check out those videos, as they provide a unique perspective on the project. In the south, the construction of the guideway has been mostly completed, with tracks and signaling installed throughout the alignment. Testing started earlier this year along the line with the fleet of Stadler Flirt and the returning Alstom Cordia Lind train sets. Station construction is mostly complete, with landscaping and commissioning work remaining at most stations. The remaining work also includes the training of operators, as well as the various safety certifications required for the operation of the line. Line 2 and 4 of the O train are expected to open in early 2024. In the east, work on the extension of Line 1 continues to progress. By November 2023, track installation was completed, with work on the overhead catenary system progressing and should be completed by the end of winter 2024, with testing to start around that time. Construction of the 5 new stations has progressed considerably, progressing towards substantial completion in early 2024 at most work sites. The eastern extension of Line 1 is still expected to open in early 2025, though the timeline is subject to testing and commissioning progress throughout the year. In the west, work continues in the 2 tunnels, guideway, and stations along the entire alignment. In November 2023, OC Transpo confirmed that tunneling work has been completed, with backfilling progressing as the covering of the cut and cover tunnels advances. Structural elements at all stations have progressed considerably, with the cladding and other elements being installed in many locations. Construction of the Moody light maintenance and storage facility is expected to be completed by the end of the year, with track and OCS installation to advance in 2024. Opening of the Western Extension is expected towards the end of 2026 or early 2027. In the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, a multitude of projects are actively progressing. In January, Diggy Stardust began digging the single-bore tunnel for the 7.8 km Scarborough subway extension, facilitating future guideway and station construction. Throughout the alignment, headwall construction and clearing of the necessary land for the future stations has progressed significantly. The Scarborough Transit Connect Consortium, selected at the end of November 2022 through an RFP, is collaborating with Metrolinx throughout 2023 and most of 2024 for the development phase, finalizing details for the stations, guideway, and systems before construction. The Line 2 extension is still on track to open by 2030. The Yonge North subway extension project is underway, with enabling works and upgrades at Finch being substantially completed. The tunneling request for proposals was initiated on December 1st, 2023, with a bidder selection expected by late 2024. Following the Scarborough extension model, Metrolinx will commence procurement for guideway, system, and system development once the tunneling contract is finalized. The extension is currently slated to open in 2030. Progress on the Ontario line is evident throughout the alignment, but particularly in the south section from Exhibition to East Harbour. A new pedestrian bridge at Exhibition provides access to the temporary platform for Lakeshore West service during the construction of the western terminus of the line. In downtown Toronto, detours are increasing as new work sites for station construction and excavation become active. In the east, enabling works upgrade railway bridges to allow for the construction of the guideway. In early 2023, the request for proposal for the remaining segments were launched. The paved tunnel and stations, as well as the elevated guideway and stations RFPs, seek a private partner for its design and construction. The selected partners should be announced in 2024, which will lead to a development phase before construction. The new 15.6 km automated subway is expected to open by 2031. Work on the Eglinton Crosstown continued in 2023. But Metrolinx announced significant delays in testing and commissioning due to systems challenges and numerous deficiencies throughout the project. Main areas of focus include fleet availability, infrastructure, and control systems. While progress at all stations, including underground ones, is substantial, Metrolinx will not provide a timeline for its opening until the deficiencies are resolved. Following the start of work in 2022, tunneling has continued for the Crosstown West extension. The longest tunnels of the extension, between Renfort and Scarlett Station, are being dug by 2 TBMs, Rexy and Rennie. As of November 2023, both have passed Islington and are heading towards Royal York, the final station on their journey. The second contract for the remaining tunneling, between Jane and Mount Dennis, is expected to be awarded by the end of 2023, though no further update have been provided as of this writing. The same goes for the elevated guideway contract, which is still under evaluation by Metrolinx. Metrolinx still targets an early 2030s opening date for the project, though it is subject to the procurement of the remaining contracts and their funding being finalized by the provincial government. Progress on the Finch West LRT has been quite impressive in 2023. OCS and guideway installation is now complete along the entire line, though work continues along certain sections to pave and finalize the final configuration of Finch Avenue. All 116 canopies throughout the alignment have been installed by the end of November 2023, with work at Humber College and Finch advancing considerably. Finishes, wayfinding, and other elements can be seen at most stations as the crews are slowly transitioning into testing and commissioning activities. Work throughout the alignment is expected to continue over the coming months as certification and commissioning of the equipment, stations, and rolling stock progresses towards the opening of the line. Finch West LRT is currently expected to open in 2024. Progress on the Hurontario LRT between Port Credit and Brampton is evident. Guideway construction along Hurontario has advanced significantly, with substantial concrete slab and track installation happening throughout the alignment. Stations are taking shape, with concrete pouring and the installation of the structural elements. The elevated section at Highway 403 has seen notable progress, and the maintenance and storage facility is almost complete, facilitating vehicle deliveries and preparing for testing once the guideway is finished. Mobilink's use of the Verona system allowed for the installation of a prefabricated passageway under Lakeshore West tracks without service interruption, a key element for passenger connectivity at Port Credit. Metrolinx anticipates the 18-kilometer line to be completed by the end of 2024. Design and planning of the Hamilton LRT continues, as some work sites became active in October 2023 with the start of enabling works. This includes a relocation of utilities and stabilization of the future guideway along the 14 kilometers of the line. In November, Metrolinx and Hamilton unveiled some refinements to the alignment with the elimination of the Highway 403 flyover, instead following the Main Street alignment to reduce costs and complexity. Procurement for the construction will be split in 3 contracts to be awarded at a future date: Advanced Enabling Works, Civil Work and Utilities, and Stops, Rail and Systems. No timeline has yet been provided regarding the start of the procurement process, though we can expect to hear more in 2024. No opening date has yet been planned for the line. The largest infrastructure program in the Greater Toronto Area, the GO Expansion program, has seen a wide variety of works throughout the region. From the construction of new tracks, infrastructure, and modernization of the guideway, the project scope is massive. As such, it is quite difficult to provide a good overview of its progress. We encourage you to also visit the Metrolinx website to learn more about the various projects that are included in the GO Expansion program. The development phase for on-corridor works has continued throughout the year, though a wide variety of early works and geotechnical surveys have happened throughout the network. Enabling works to electrify and implement ETCS throughout the GO network are starting in phase. As work is completed, the increased frequency and electrification of service is expected to be implemented starting in 2025, with completion by 2032. High-frequency rail procurement progressed in 2023, concluding the RFQ in July and initiating the RFP in October. The 3 qualified consortiums will present 2 proposals for evaluation, one with a maximum speed of 200 km an hour and a more ambitious one incorporating high-speed segments. Bidders have until summer 2024 to submit their proposals, with the government aiming to announce a private partner by late 2024. Upon selection, the development phase will commence, and if the current timeline holds, high-frequency rail is anticipated to be completed in the early 2030s. After extensive efforts, including remediation of the defective piers and proactive signaling cabling replacement, the City and TransEd announced on October 24, 2023 that the Valley Line would open between Millwoods and downtown Edmonton on November 4, 2023. We look forward to exploring the line and its station in the years to come. Valley Line West, the second phase of the Valley Line, advances with ongoing work to extend the line to Lewis Farms. Activities such as bridge route construction, guideway preparation, elevated structures, and utility displacement are underway across the alignment. Construction is also in progress for the maintenance and storage facility for the upcoming Ontario tram. The city aims for the extension completion by 2028. The Metro Line Northwest extension will extend the line to the city limits of Edmonton in 3 phases. Phase 1 extends the line 1 stop further to Blatchford. The full 1.6 km of the guideway, OCS, and most of the station work has been completed already, with work continuing on the signaling system and stations. Solar panels have been installed at Nate and Blatchford Gate, which will provide renewable energy to the stations and the various systems. The one-stop extension is expected to open in 2024. Design work also continues on the second and third phase. For phase 2, the city has funded, earlier this year, the acquisition of the necessary lands for the construction of the extension. This is a first step towards the start of work at a future date. Work also continued on the Capital Line South extensions. Phase 1, which includes a 4.5 km extension from Century Park to Ellerslie, is underway as preparatory work continues throughout 2023. The design-build partners have been shortlisted in March 2023, leading to an RFP to choose a partner by early 2024. Until then, early works will continue throughout the alignment. Major works are expected to start in the spring of 2024, with the extension expected to open by the end of 2027. Design work also continues for Phase 2, which will extend the line further to Des Rochers, though no funding has been allocated to the project yet. In Calgary, work on the first phase of the Green Line is expected to start in 2024, pending the conclusion of the development phase that began in May 2023. In the meantime, early works have progressed throughout the 18-kilometer alignment. This includes utility relocations, demolition of certain properties, as well as the start of the 78th Avenue project, a grade separation project which will construct 2 tunnels under the Canadian Pacific Corridor, host of the future alignment of the Green Line through Ogden. The construction of the initial phase is anticipated to span 5 to 6 years, but this estimate is subject to further refinement upon completion of the development phase. In Vancouver, the Broadway subway project is advancing steadily. The 2 tunnel boring machines, Elsie and Phyllis, are currently tunneling beneath Broadway West. Since their launch, they have installed over 2,600 tunnel rings each and have traveled more than 2 kilometers. Station work is progressing with concrete pours, including the new connection between the Canada Line and Millennium Line at Broadway City Hall Station. The elevated guideway between VCC Clark and Great Northern Way is progressing, with all piers completed and a significant portion of the concrete deck finished, setting the stage for the next construction phases. The Millennium Line extension is slated to open in 2026. The proposed extension of the Millennium Line from Arbutus to UBC started detailed technical design and planning in the summer of 2023. Those designs are expected to be completed by the end of 2024, which will then be used to develop the necessary business case for funding and approval. As of the end of 2023, no timeline has been provided for the realization of the line. Adding another 16 kilometers of elevated tracks to the Expo line, procurement for the Surrey Langley Skytrain extension has progressed with the launch of the RFP for the guideway, roadwork, and utilities in January 2023. In March, the RFP for construction of stations and their surroundings was launched, with the tracks and system RFP launching in April 2023. The partner for all 3 contracts is anticipated to be announced in early 2024. Early works, such as the Fraser Highway widening and utility relocations, has been ongoing. On December 1st, we also learned the finalized names and locations of the 8 stations which will be constructed as part of this project. The extension is currently expected to open by the end of 2028. And that's a wrap. We hope you found this video informative and are as thrilled about the progress made in 2023 as we are. Buckle up for an exciting 2024. Don't miss out on the action. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for upcoming videos and content throughout the year.